It's impossible. We had to translate everything in France. And I was in a Q&A just before, and you all speak fluently English. It's incredible.
Yes. Did you meet it already? No?
Hello.
No.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah. It's a bit strange to moderate the two. So who starts? Yeah, but.
Do you want me to? I can tell you why the film, and
Yes.
when did it begin, So just to know, it's my brother. I'm born in France, but I was given up for adoption by this family. My mother couldn't take me, so I was raised in France, and I found back that family when I was 30. So I know Coby since he's 12-year-old, So it's not really my family, but kind of, It's my blood mother, that's true. So I know Coby, he came over in France, and I came over to the United States for a couple of, years. And then in 2010, he told to all the family that he wanted, that he was a boy, he was always a boy. So everybody was really frightened, and especially me too, And I thought, why is he going to do something so hard on his body, So I told him, I'm living in Paris, and he's living in a little, village somewhere in the north of the United States. So I told him, come on to Paris, You're a lesbian, you're living with your girlfriend, and there it's impossible to live like this. I didn't understand anything about transitioning and transgenders. So he told me, no, I want to do my transition here. It's my family, my life, and I will stay there over. And so I followed his steps, and all the family followed his steps. It's a very strong-minded person, and I knew what he wanted to do. And we went, how we say in English, we went all on board, slowly, one after the other, thinking, yeah, he's right. That's the best he can do for his life and for our lives too, So after only 5 years, when he was, Coby and not Susanna like before, when I saw the light came over the whole family, and the love was there, brighter than ever, because of Coby's transitioning, I thought I had a thing to do, and so I began the film.
You don't have to ask him questions.
No, it's just the beginning of the story,
No, it's good, it's
So
good.
that's the reason of the film. I didn't want to do the film to do another film about transgender where it's drama. It's about, the film was about seeing at the end of the tunnel when it's light, and not just darkness. And that was the idea of the film, to change the cisgender, the name cisgender's point of view, because when you don't know about transgender, you're afraid of it, And I thought to be intimate like this.
Maybe you explain, because maybe some people don't know.
Cisgenders, all the people are not transgender, meaning almost a lot of people here, I don't know. And so I thought it's important to change people's mind, like Coby changed my mind. So I wanted to show it in the film, and now I shut up.
No, that's great. No, go on. No. Yeah. So when it was after 5 years that you have decided to start?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how? In a way, they were filming already a lot, so they were used to film each other. I mean, he was.
He, please, no.
He was at the beginning. He was used to be a film, and but by his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So how did?
It was for me. It was a way to meet him, because we didn't grow up together, So the idea of the film was to meet him too, There's a second story there. It's not about just transgender, but a brother meeting another brother, because it's really, I'm like Andrew in the film. My other brother, the other one, he's a brother. It's not a sister that plays a brother. It's my brother, for real, So it was, I think, a way to meet him too, because we filmed for 9 weeks, 2 weeks, one winter, one summer, and then the other winter. And you were in the first scene of the film, he needed to get naked, you know. So it's big steps for him and for the crew. For the crew, I was, you know, I had a DP and myself for the film, and it was a big breakthrough. Just, you know, I say I want to show a man, and I want to show your body, and people have to accept at the first 10, 15 minutes it's a guy, you know, and he's doing great stuff in his life, you know, nothing more. And then slowly deconstruct the character, and we understand he has a past, you know.
Yeah.
That's another way to tell the story that, you know, people who are a little bit frightened of it, they get a little bit less frightened, because you don't begin with drama, saying, I have problems, I need to change, you know.
Yeah. But this is the end, the result. I want to know more about your journey through the filming, you know, because you know lots of things at the end when you have edited, but you know, and then you can talk, and make big. But sometimes you are not, you don't know that much, because you just told me that it was a way also of knowing him. But you know, what did you know when you started?
For me, the process that you have in the film, that I hope the audience, cisgender, has in the film, is almost the same process I had by filming and by writing not the screenplay, but the subject. You know? Meaning, I didn't know anything about transgender. Of course, I went in nightclubs in Paris, gay nightclubs, because they are the best. You know, the other ones are boring. So I met transgenders, of course, but I had a bad idea. You know, when it's your brother, it's very different. You know, and so coming there, I knew I wanted to show the bright side, but the other thing I understood by shooting there, I came over with the French way of thinking, meaning I needed psychoanalysis, answers about why. You know, the idea of the film was why. Why did he do that? Why? What was the main profound reason of changing gender? You know, and it was the big questions, and you see it in the film. You know, I'm asking my mother, who has the American answer, you know, everything is about genetic, end of the question. And I ask all around, I ask Coby, but it's not in the film, and then I ask my stepfather. And it was really the beginning of the film. He had that answer, saying, I can think a lot of things that we did wrong, but for that, I would need to think that Coby is wrong, is not right, and Coby is okay, you know? So, make me change totally my way of thinking and filming too. I think I'm looking at the wrong place. If you look at the reason, you begin to think about, like I say, the blue and the pink, you know? Because the blue and the pink are the good ones, and the rest, you have to understand why are they not blue or pink, men or women. And so I understood if you ask that question, you're wrong, you know. So because there is no question, you just have to follow the path of your brother. That's what I did then in the film, you know.
Okay. And how did you set? Because you are filming everything, a lot of things of his intimate life, his work life. How did you organize it? Think with.
It's just time, you know. I think, you know. I don't know. The process is just a lot of time, you know. Just to get the scene where he's saving a kid in the hospital. It's 12 nights of shooting, where we're shooting all night long with him, you know, and one night you have that, and you have the rights, because a lot of time you can shoot, but you're in the United States. You shoot anybody in the street, you have to make him sign something to be sure he's okay. And of course, when you shoot someone who is almost dying in an ambulance, they are not ready to say, okay, you can use my. So this takes a lot of time, and with Coby the same, you know, we had it's part of, you know, of course I didn't wait the whole night long, him getting up naked in the morning to shoot. Of course it's staged, of course, staged that part. And other parts, it's just waiting, you know, being there on time, you know, and a lot of footage, you know. It's like always, a documentary, we have 2% of the film in there, and the rest is, you know, somewhere will never get used, you know. I think it's just time, you know, taking time, you know, and working with very interesting, you know, artists. You know, I have a very good editor. Who is editing the film of Abdel Keshish? I don't know if you know the director. Got the
the Palme d'Or, and he was in the film de Cannes à Bucharest. So all his films. So I mean, I don't know if you have seen them, but the one.
So I work with very interesting and very creative editor and DP.
Yeah.
So it's not just being alone there.
And can you? So you have told us about a little bit about your journey, and did you figure out the journey of Coby through what you did together? Because obviously, when we are filmed, there is a tacit thing of of common interest in doing something, and of common discovery.
So with Coby, it's a mystery still. It's not a mystery. First thing to get everything. Everybody's going to cry now. Coby is not with Sarah anymore. They're not together anymore. Sarah is living with. Yeah, that's the question. Huh? So Coby is not with Sarah anymore. He's with a guy now, with Max. He's really in love with him, and they're living since 1 year together in the same place. And Sarah is with a girlfriend back, That's the first thing. So it was very interesting to see the process, I think the couple construction they had was about transitioning, for sure. Sarah was in love with someone. She didn't know at the beginning that he wanted to, that he was a guy, But when he said to her that he was a transgender and wanted to change, the gender, she was not, surprised at all, So for me, the journey was first a journey with a couple, and someone who had really. For me, the film is more than transgender. It's about courage, It's about fighting against how do you say, the norm and norm. Norm, because I come back with the story, pink and blue. For me, Coby just fighting against, the people who are thinking, or you're blue, you're pink, or you're nothing, And he says, who cares, And I think he overcame even the idea of just not being out as a transgender anymore. Now he doesn't care anymore. For a time, the idea was, I want to be a man. I want to be a normal man. Nobody is going to stare at me when they see me in the street, and I can behave like I want. Now it's even different. He says he's a transgender, trans man, and doesn't care anymore about what people are feeling. So he went even farther than what you see in the film, where the big questions are still, I look like a man, but have feelings that I had before. Can I accept it? How do I react? Someone else who has to talk.
No, you don't have to. Nobody's obliged.
I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
This
is my second time viewing this film, because we had it last time during Bucharest Pride last year, and it's to me, it's really important that this film exists, because it questions cis-normativity, as you said, and somehow it questions cis-heteronormativity, which to people, and especially to trans people, is causing damage. Because this fiction called gender, to me, it's a necessary evil somehow. I mean, we cannot do without it, but it's causing a lot of stress to a lot of people, especially trans people, maybe women, I mean, not white cis male, I guess.
Like me.
So it's interesting to see, and I appreciate a lot that it has a positive message, that you didn't want to see the drama, although it transcends every now and then, because you cannot do without somehow. And it's interesting to see that language is such an important part of this, because especially with the mother, the parents, but especially with the mother, she still refers to Coby with female pronouns and his that name. So that says a lot about, and I've experienced that myself, and a lot of people in the community experience that, with parents especially, because I sense in my parents, and I see it in other parents who have trans kids, that they go through this phase of somewhat mourning. I mean, they have to lose and to let go of, as they think, a daughter or a son, and gain a son or a daughter many years after they gave birth to the child. Same happened with my family. And I confirm everything Coby says about testosterone. I don't know what else to say. I'm also a filmmaker, so this speaks to me on many levels, because so far I don't think I can do films which are not autobiographical. Just because me being trans and my trans identity is so important to me that I cannot, not just so important, but such an occupies a big part of my life in this society and in this environment, that I don't know how, what else burns me more to put into a film. So yeah, this is also important because it's quite authentic with you being somewhat close to Coby, and this being a documentary, because as you all know, every film with a trans subject, especially if it's fiction film, it's most of the times goes into a scandal because of the trans people being represented in one way or another, which is nice. But this has a very authentic side, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
It is not voyeur.
No.
But when you shoot about your own family, you can't be voyeur at all, you know.
Sorry?
I think because it was my family, you know.
Oh, no. Well, it depends.
I love them, so
Yes,
I needed to
exactly.
find the good distance.
No, I know, you did super great, but there are people who film their family in a voyeur way.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't prevent you to do shit, to film your family. So you really did a great job.
There's
A question?
Question.
Ah, pardon, pardon.
Enjoy. Non, ça va, pas tellement fort.
Non, parce qu'on t'est filmé et tout ça.
Ah bon, bien.
Bah oui. Attention, hein, parce que tout ce que tu dis...
Well, I've been trying to ask a question for the last 20 minutes, so I'm happy I can ask it. We've recently seen in Romania Girl, which is a Belgian film that you may have seen. It won Best Debut Feature and Best Actor in Cannes and Certain Regard section. And from that movie, I got the impression that this is a really painful process. Watching your documentary, I got the impression that these people take it, it's a very down-to-earth matter for them. It's something very practical that has to be done, and it's dealt in a very rational manner. So I was wondering if, of course, we're not going to compare a feature film and a documentary, but in terms of mentality, is there a difference between the two societies, the American and the Belgian or European one?
It's very hard to say. For sure, I don't know between the Belgium, between France, there are 15 years of difference. In the United States, there are 15 years before us, you know, in the way of treating transgender. There are transgender actors, there are transgender, you know, anchors on the TV and everything. They have transgender reality shows there. So it's very different than in France. I don't know the Belgium exactly, you know. That's the first thing. Doesn't mean that all United States are okay for it. Look at Trump, you know. He's changing a lot of laws now to be harmful to transgender people, you know. So it's a special family, of course, first. Girl, he needs drama. He needs drama. I think it's a good film for a lot of parts, but I know that transgender hate the end, and they are right, you know, because that's for cisgender.
Yes.
You wanna get the audience, you know, moved, you know. And I tried the reverse, you know. I said I don't care. I didn't have one TV. Normally, this kind of film, you have TV money. When they saw my script, they say, forget it. Where is the drama? You know, everything is fine. You know. Yeah. So of course, the good director of Girl needed to put on drama here and there. You know, I don't say everything is fine and easy. You know, of course, there are a lot of crazy story, and it's a harsh. You know, doing something on your body, it's never easy. You know, going to surgery. You know, it's never easy, of course. But you have to think about the goal, how you feel after. You know. So you can just look about the process, That's the regular film, cisgender film about transgender film. It's the process, the painful process. Okay, there are a lot of films about that. And going to surgery, it's a process. If you have cancer for anything, it's a problem, you know. But if you see the goal of it, you know, and that you feel better, you can look in a different way. That's what I did. So I'm not sure it's easier for the transgender person in the United States in his or her body, but perhaps it's easier in the society he's living, you know, because it's more common in the United States and more accepted than in Europe. In France, for sure. The film was released in the cinema 1 year ago, and I can tell you there were psychologists who came over to me and asked for the DVD after, you know, because they wanted to change their way of thinking even about transgender.
What I can say about Girl, the film, is that we don't think, and by we, I mean the trans community, we don't feel it's authentic and it represents us. I think there are some points there which are really problematic, and I advise you to see and to read reviews done by trans film critics, because there are, and they say there why it's not. We even we had an opinion about the film after this premiere, which you can find on Facebook. We had the chance to explain there in detail why we think it's problematic and how to see the film, because it's in cinema and it's there, it's okay. I guess we need to finish now.
We don't hear, but it's not.
Why would that be? Because the actor is cisgender?
No. I did a film, autobiographical somehow, with where I had to use cis woman to play the part inspired from myself. But I understand the struggle of finding a trans actor, especially in Belgium, in that side. Yes, and I totally get that. But what I see is the responsibility of the creators of the film to research and understand in detail the trans experience. Because, for example, I know it's inspired by a true story. What doesn't say is that the decision to cut in the end is added by the creators of the film, and it didn't happen in reality. And that says a lot about the film and how it was approached.
Thank you. By the way, thank you for the movie also. I read just yesterday a very good article. So I've read yesterday a very good article in them, an article written by a transgender woman, and she was complaining that with all this new representation of trans people in movies and in TV, she still cannot see herself represented. And she said that she wants to see movies showing the mediocrity of the usual trans life, the banality, the everyday, that she's tired to see movies representing us just as a drama, the people, and she wants to see trans people, I don't know, working in shops and doing shopping and living the normal life. I think she would love your movie. It's quite close to it.
But this one is really strong. Wow. I had, in France, I did a lot of tours with the film and Q&A, a lot, more than 90 around France, you know. And I had, of course, the transgender community. And part of them were, of course, not happy with the film because they thought another film about transitioning, you know. Transgender doesn't mean just transitioning, and I understand it, you know. But I think it's part of a process for the rest of the society.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a film for transgender. I'm doing a film for cisgender, you know, trying to make them understand, you know,
It's
what's
education,
happening.
yes.
And I think that's the real problem. Now the process has to evolve, you know, of course, and slowly that we don't, you know, just stigmatize transgender about changing, you know, gender, you know, because everything is about that now, you know. And you're right. I understand that people who are transgender people want to be, you know, shown in a different way. They're just about their transitioning, with a lot about the body, of course, like I did in my film, showing naked bodies. You know, I had a lot of complaining from transgender saying, "I'm fed up that you show the naked body of your brother." You know, but
yeah, but I would like to see more movies showing the naked bodies of cis people.
there are a lot.
And
I can show you a lot of them.
non-binaries and the rest. By the way, I have a question actually. What was your intention when you put all those photos, the pre-transition photos in the movie? I know what is the effect on me, and I won't tell more, but I say that is positive. I also have seen some very rabid reactions to those photos. I would like to hear you why you put those photos.
So first, he has the archives in that family, they don't shoot videos. So the first reason I wanted to, you know, date about, of course, Coby before, you know, his own videos, his own, you know, YouTubes, where he talks about himself, and he's acting, of course, you know, he knows he's going to be, it's not a journal, it's YouTube, you know, he has more than 16 hours of films of himself out there since the beginning of his transitioning, you know. So I needed to have those photos for two things. First, a lot of time he's staring at you. I think the photo shows from the beginning that he's a strong-minded character who knows what he wants. And the second thing, of course, is to show, you know, what's being a man or a woman, you know. When you see all the photos until he's teenager and even late, who cares, you know? A body is a body, you know. And I play with the idea, of course, of that body. It could be male or female. I try to do it in a little smaller way with the makeup of my mother, you know. I shot it in a way that you think she's more man-like than women-like, you know, at that time. The same with my stepfather when he's touching Coby's hand. I like the idea that's very woman-like in the idea we have of it, you know. And that's, of course, the subtext of the film, you know. What is it to be a woman and a man today, you know? And that's why I wanted to use that photo, the younger photos about that, because it's very mixed when you see his body at that age, you know.
So we are going to be obliged to finish. If you want to go on, you may, but outside, because there is now we are going to go to Japan here.
Thank you for coming and seeing the film. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm very honored by the festival to invite me to show you.
Thank you.